Goals are often described as the currency of football, and in much the same way that a pristine, beautifully polished pound coin is only worth the same as a scuffed and scruffy old one, a 40-yard thunderbolt in football counts for one goal, just like a messy scramble in the box which ends up with the centre-half accidentally putting the ball in the net via his knee. However, there are two types of goals which live long in the memory, and they are the most aesthetically beautiful or outrageous goals, and those scored in the most important circumstances on the biggest of stages. There are a small number of players who only seem to score that first type of goal, and they're the subjects of this video. Almost everyone watching this video will have an idea of one or two players they've had or have at their club who matches that description, but with only 7 positions, naturally not all of them will feature. Here are 7 footballers who only score screamers. Harry Wilson. Roberto Carlos was perhaps the ultimate example of a player who only scored screamers, but I should point out early on that this 7 is concerned only with current players. In that vein, we kick off this 7 with current Bournemouth loanee Harry Wilson. A rarely gifted wide man, Wilson eclipsed Gareth Bale's record as well as his youngest ever international 6.5 years ago. The 22-year-old has scored 3 goals for Ryan Giggs' side, 2 of which were absolute wonder strikes. A set-piece specialist with a wonderful left foot, Wilson has scored some fantastic goals on loan at Hull, Derby and Bournemouth, in addition to a special one in pre-season for Liverpool. His finest goal was surely his free kick at Old Trafford for Derby in the League Cup, and if it weren't for those pesky copyright rules, I'd love to show it to you. Alexander Tettey. A robust and aggressive defensive midfielder with a cannon of a shot that he rarely unleashes, Alexander Tettey sort of perfectly fits the profile of a footballer that only scores incredible goals. The Ghanaian-born former Norwegian international joined Norwich in 2012, but didn't score his first goal for the club until March 2014. It was worth the wait for a 30-yard volley against Sunderland, which is arguably the finest goal of his career. The 33-year-old fan favourite has scored 33 goals in total for club and country, and almost all have been rockets that left the goalkeeper with no chance. Tom Huddlestone. Both Harry Wilson in 7th and Tom Huddlestone in 5th place in this 7 can list Hull City and Derby County among their list of former or current clubs, and both scored some memorable strikes for both. In his first stint with Derby, Tom Huddlestone played 95 games without scoring a single goal. Following a move to Tottenham, the deep-line playmaker began to unleash the occasional thunderbolt. Huddlestone has real venom in both feet, and he scored some worldies against the likes of Bolton Wanderers, Fulham, and most famously Arsenal. He scored another great goal against Fulham for Hull City, which meant he could finally shave his afro, in addition to scoring a sumptuous strike for the Tigers against Sheffield United in the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. To have only scored 26 goals, but to have scored that many screamers, Huddlestone has to make this 7. Ben Close. I must admit, Ben Close wasn't the first name that popped into my mind when I decided to make this 7, but when I pondered this topic on Twitter, his name was suggested more times than anyone else. Helpfully, someone has made a video collating every one of the midfielders' goals for Portsmouth, and I can concur that the lad only scores screamers. The 23-year-old specialises in first-time or quickly taken strikes, with a particular punch-up of volleys and half-volleys, and what makes his inclusion noteworthy is the fact that he isn't that infrequent of a scorer. The Portsmouth born and bred favourite bagged 9 goals last season alone. Philippe Coutinho. The most prolific goalscorer in this 7 by far, despite having a career total of 114 goals for club and country, Philippe Coutinho scores almost exclusively brilliant goals. A diminutive and explosive footballer who plays his best football either wide on the left where he can cut inside onto his right foot or in attacking midfield, Coutinho has both magic and real power in his feet. Equally capable of thundering the ball hard and low, or whipping a sensational curled finish into the top corner, Coutinho is lethal from outside of the box, both from dead ball situations and in open play. The 27-year-old scored more goals from outside the box than any other player during his time in the Premier League, and he has continued in a similar vein for both Barcelona and on loan at Bayern Munich. Emre Can. From a current Bayern Munich player in 3rd to a former one in 2nd, Emre Can has an unusual knack for scoring fantastic goals. A well-rounded footballer, Can is energetic, versatile and good on the ball. He has scored a grand total of 28 goals at club and international level, aged 26, and there have been some real worldies among them. Chan's greatest goal was of course his overhead kick against Watford during his time with Liverpool, which won the 2016-17 Premier League Goal of the Season award, followed by his incredible long-range debut goal for Borussia Dortmund against Leverkusen earlier this season. Honourable mentions. As I said earlier, this 7 is just for current players, but had it been an all-time list, then you would undoubtedly have had the likes of Roberto Carlos, Philippe Coutinho, Pedro Mendes, John Onorisa, Matty Taylor, Junior Belletti, Matt Le Tissier, and Ian Ashby, among many others in contention. In terms of current players who made my shortlist, there were the likes of Xherdan Shaqiri, Andros Townsend, Granit Xhaka, Nemanja Matic, Victor Wanyama, James Ward-Prowse, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, James Maddison, James Tavernier, and Kyle Walker. That's a very Premier League-centric list of honourable mentions, and I'd love to hear some of your more exotic suggestions in the comments that may have been overlooked, along with any future video ideas that you'd like to see from me. But before that, here is your top spot. Ruben Neves. In the least surprising decision since Antonio Valencia last looked to beat a fullback get to the ball and fire a ball across the front of goal, Ruben Neves naturally takes top spot in this 7. Speaking of Antonio Valencia, in fact, he's another player who predominantly scored very good goals. Anyhow, there is a video of all of Ruben Neves' goals up until about 12 months ago, which you can find on this reputable video sharing platform, and all the ones that he has scored since have been of a similar class. A gifted and intelligent deep-line playmaker, Neves isn't a prolific scorer from midfield, but he rarely scores an ordinary goal. The 22-year-old has banged 19 goals in since making his debut for Porto as a 17-year-old, and his first for Wolves was a rather irritating but brilliant curled strike against Hull City. His best was surely his goal against Derby County, in which the Portuguese international teed the ball up for himself on the half-turn and sent an unstoppable volley into the top corner. But he's also scored a string of excellent free kicks, in addition to a stunning volley against Espanyol in the Europa League only last week. I don't think he has ever scored a goal inside the box, correct me if I'm wrong, but either way he surely has to top this 7. That's it for today's 7. Thanks for watching, give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and obviously make sure you're subscribed to HITC Sevens. Also, if you're watching on mobile, just try tapping your screen now. Apparently that is sometimes required to bring up our little subscribe button and a couple of other videos that YouTube thinks you might enjoy.